the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. I'm your host, Glenn Glass, but affectionately known as Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime. And I have with me none other than the man, the myth, the legend himself, Marcus Merritt. Now, Marcus, this was supposed to be a show for the ages. We're still going to make it one, but
No.
your partner couldn't make it with us today, and that's all right. So we're gonna make it do what it do. So, Marcus, listen, I could, I'm like, I could go through your bio and tell the folks all these great things about you in the bio based on what I read, but I know you. And we've known each other for some time now, and I'm always, always, always blown away by the things that you do and the things that you have going on. I'm like, this dude must have an Energizer battery in his back or something. I'm like, how can I keep up with some of the stuff that you do? But I don't want to steal your thunder, man. I want to give you an opportunity to share with the folks who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into a little bit more about what you got going on.
Definitely. Well, thanks again first for having me on today, Glenn.
Definitely.
I love speaking with you and just talking real estate and kind of just cutting up, going back and forth, sometimes calling people out on shit, but we'll leave that.
Listen, that's why I know you're a great guest to have, because we can do that.
My name is Marcus Merritt. I'm the owner of 3M Marketing and Acquisitions, which is a social media management company. I also am the head project manager for United Real Estate Investment Group with my partner, Nicole Hunter. With the focus for my first company, we focus on managing social media profiles for real estate professionals and small business owners. I started that business roughly a little over 2 years ago, actually, as kind of just like a thing to kind of help other investors that were friends of mine who saw that I was having a lot of success growing my business through social media. And they were like, hey, come help me out. How can I kind of raise my profile and give me some tips and tricks? And after about the fifth or sixth person, I was like, okay, I need to start charging for this.
Real stuff. That's how it happens.
So it started out kind of, like I said, as a hobby that grew into about 25 clients now that we work with. But I said that range from real estate professionals to small business owners as well, just kind of helping them grow their profiles and grow their business through social media. And with United Real Estate Investment Group, me and Nicole have been friends for probably about 3 or 4 years now. And we've always wanted to do some work together, but we were never really sure kind of how to do it. I was investing a lot at the time in the Southwest Atlanta area, kind of where everybody was. And she was focusing a lot in East Point. And not just East Point, but like the rough part of East Point. I always told her, I was like, when you're ready to get out of the hood, call me.
Right.
But she really made me see a lot of growth potential in East Point because you can buy the properties cheap and sell them pretty high. And that's always the goal, obviously, is to buy cheap, sell high, and make as much money in between. So we decided, hey, why don't we, to really grow, sometimes you have to collaborate. We're all about collaboration, not competition with other people. So we were like, let's just put our two minds together and figure out how we can grow this business from, I think at the time she was doing maybe 2 or 3 rehabs a year. I was doing maybe 5 or 6. We should be able to do 10 plus together. How can we make this happen? So that's how we really partnered together on United Real Estate Investment Group, where we've been focusing on doing rehabs. Just in the last year, we moved more into new construction with a focus kind of on a traditional modern style twist. And right now, currently, we have about 7 projects in the works. So.
Great stuff. So let's get back into let's talk a little bit about 3M marketing, and then we'll go into talking about the project management stuff you got going on. So with
Of course.
3M marketing, as you said, which obviously makes sense, you were helping some people out in social media, and it just made sense for you to start, getting compensated for your services. So let's talk about what more in depth do you do? So you're like a social media marketing strategist. Like, what more in depth do you do with social media, and how do you help people?
Yes, essentially what we do is it's like a three-step tier, I call it, that I set up with all of my clients. The first one is daily social media management. I think a lot of times people forget how important that is. And I laugh sometimes because I have clients that'll be like, I want to get some more leads in. I want to get some more leads in. And I'm like, did you not see those four messages I sent you that came through on your DMs where they were like, hey, call me, I need a realtor, or call me, I need this, or call me, I need this, and a lot of people miss those sometimes. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's money you're throwing away,
Right.
So that daily social media management is so important, to just stay on top of it, just make sure that nothing falls through the cracks because you never know where a lead might come from.
Right.
So that's the first thing that we really like to focus on. The second thing is the branding and content creation.
Hmm.
A lot of people post stuff on social media, but don't really have a idea of where they're going. What is their brand? What is their focus? I had a consultation with an agent the other day who lives in Johns Creek, and I was like, what's your niche? Kind of what do you want to do? And he said, I don't know. I said, well, if you live in Johns Creek and the last 8 properties you sold were in Johns Creek, why don't you become the Johns Creek agent? Why don't
Imagine
you
that.
make that your known? You know what I mean? Be
Right.
like, if you think of Johns Creek, you need to think of me,
Absolutely.
and that just
Absolutely.
be kind of your niche. And that's what you focus your marketing on. So we really try to help a lot of our clients kind of create that as well, because a lot of times they don't have a clear idea of kind of where they're going with that.
Got
And
it.
then the third thing really is lead generation. A lot of times, a lot of our clients come to us wanting to grow their business and find more leads, whether it be, in real estate, maybe more clients to sell or buy. Small business owners, a lot of times they want to grow, clients coming to their website, buying their products and such. So that really is like the third kind of the piece of the puzzle is how can we grow and do lead generation for you, which we do in multiple different ways. We do ads, a lot of times just the sponsored posts and such, just kind
Yeah.
of getting their name out there and really getting more eyeballs on them that's going to be interested in what they're doing.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now, when you say, because I know, I'm probably one of the most saddest people with social media. I think I do okay, but I need to do quite a bit more. And we live in a world where, I guess, fortunately and unfortunately in some ways, if it doesn't show up on Facebook, it didn't happen.
Right?
If you can't see it on Instagram, it did happen, right? So, and I know I oftentimes, I'll be the first to admit I'm guilty of possibly missing tons of leads as it relates to clients for educating people on how to do real estate and things like that. I probably missed tons of leads through social media because I've gotten kind of and let me figure the right word to use. I've gotten kind of immune, if you will. I don't know if it's immune. Maybe it's not the right word to use, to so many people contacting me. You say, people hit you in your DM and things like that, and ask you certain questions. Can I pick your brain, or can you call me, and can I ask you questions? And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with answering questions. I'm okay with sharing knowledge and things like that. But how do you help the person that has these situations turn those? I mean, you know what we do. I mean, what we do is we're compensated for the results that we help people get. Right. In some cases, we
Yeah.
compensated for the time that we spend doing it. But in most cases, we're compensated for the things that we help people do. What would be, and some of the people that are watching might have known me to ask them these questions when they ask me, can we talk? What would be the proper response for a social media person to respond to a potential lead when someone says, "Can I pick your brain?" How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely pointed questions that I ask to figure out within the first couple of messages back and forth how serious this person is, or is this kind of a spam or junk? 'Cause, we get a lot of those too.
Oh,
I'm not
totally.
even gonna lie, I actually uh, and I'll say this: I got tricked a couple weeks ago. One of my clients, Amy Powers, she got a message on her business page that I had responded back to,
Hmm.
and the guy was wanting furniture, staging furniture, um, for his Airbnb.
Hmm.
But I guess the way he was wording it was kind of weird. I didn't understand it exactly. He was saying he wanted the furniture, but he only wanted to pay a deposit back and see how it went after a couple months to see if he wanted to keep it or not. And Amy was like, "Oh yeah, that's a scammer. That happens all the time. They give you a credit card, you charge it one time, and it'll never go through after that." I was like, "Oh." So, sometimes I get tricked too, but usually within the first couple of questions, you can usually kind of navigate that uh, to see how real they are about whatever it is you're asking about. Specifically for 3M marketing, for me, when anybody messages me asking me questions about the company, I just automatically set them up with a free consultation. I say,
Hmm.
hey, let's jump on for a free 30-minute consultation. That way you can explain to me more what you got going on. I can tell you a little bit more about me and the company, and then we can see if it's a good fit to move forward.
God.
Some people don't like that. They feel like time is money. But for me, I'd rather spend a free 30 minutes up front,
Hmm.
and not waste my time in the long run going back and forth with hundreds of messages and emails, and then it might not even go anywhere, but within that 30 minutes, I figure out exactly what it is you need. And if it's something that I could help you with.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I mean, and the thing is, you said some people think it's a waste of time, and what I guess what the people that are thinking that are contacting you when they say time is money, they should understand that your time is money as well. So they should respect your time if they're contacting you. So
Exactly.
I mean, I get it. Some people they want what they want, and some people oftentimes feel like because they are of a certain, I don't know, level or status. In some cases, they think that they should get preferential treatment. Like me, if I call Marcus, I expect you to call me right back. Because we have relationship. But in some cases, certain people will reach out to you, and I guess these are the things that people should probably understand as it relates to what you do as a social media person. Um, Understanding that there's going to be steps to getting into your universe, if you will, and knowing that that you require certain things to be followed in order for people to contact you, or in order for them to connect with you, and that should be respected. You know, um, So I guess the thing that you've actually right now have helped me with is how to really communicate with these people that reach out to me that want to, I guess we'll say, pick my brain, or can we talk now, or those kind of things. How to respond to them in a way that doesn't seem so brash, I guess, if you will, to offend them, where it's a potential lead or potential client. So that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's simple questions that you can ask. It's essentially like for you, if it's a real estate lead coming through and they're saying, "Hey, I want to get invested in real estate."
Hmm.
For me, I would ask them three simple questions. How much money do you have to invest?
Hmm.
Where are you wanting to invest in? And how soon are you looking to get started? If they can't answer those three questions, you know what? I'm so excited for you. Contact me when you're ready. You know, and that's it. You
Hey,
know,
listen, by
I
that alone, you are hired as my new social media person. Perfect, man. That's perfect. And those are things that, hopefully that the people that are watching can pay attention to, where if they're trying to contact someone like myself or you, even for, the other things that you got going on, when they're trying to contact someone like us that provide a service, maybe slightly realizing that they're not the only person that contacts us this way, and we have to set boundaries for people to understand that being a service provider, we can't, we're not the brick and mortar. Even when you walk into the brick and mortar store, there's a line.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You got to stand in line and wait till everybody else that has come before you has been serviced, especially the ones that are paying. you know and just respect that there's an order to what we do, and that we're not trying to be standoffish or anything like that, or be rude. We're just servicing the clients that have come before them, and the paying clients are the more clients that are being respected first, because they're the ones that's paying for a service. So
exactly.
right.
And that's just what it is at the end of the day.
Absolutely, absolutely. So across the social media, what are some of the things? I guess you like you said, you help with people with generating leads and things like that. Is a certain amount of followers important to show people that you are a, I guess, quote unquote subject matter expert? Many people say you only got 200 followers. Why should I listen to you? How does that work?
It definitely plays a part in it, but I'll be honest, Glenn, I am uh I don't want to say I'm nosy, but I will go creep sometimes on people's profiles just to see, what's really going on with their social media,
Hmm.
and I'm not going to say no name, but it's people that we know in real estate here in Atlanta that may have like 10,000 followers or 15,000 followers,
Hmm.
and they post a picture or a video and it gets 14 likes and 2 comments and 70 views, and I'm like,
Shots
what's
fired.
the point of having all these followers if they're not engaging?
Right.
That's the whole point of social media. You want people to engage with you. You want to create a dialogue that hopefully, especially in a business sense, can lead to other endeavors. So for me, focusing more on the content and engagement part of it is more important than the followers. I have some of my clients accounts, like you said, who have 200 and 300 followers that get more engagement than some of the other accounts that have 1,000 or 2,000 followers.
Mm.
So I would say the followers plays into it. I think it's more of a mental thing for us. Like you said, if you see somebody with 250 followers and they're like, check me out on Clubhouse Guru, you're a little skeptic, like, I don't know about you.
Right.
Uh, but, they really might be knowing what they're talking about,
Hmm.
So I really try to, like I said, I look at more of the content and the engagement side of it. I think that's more important than just the actual follower count.
Okay, good stuff, good stuff. And you brought up Clubhouse. Now I've gotten on Clubhouse and I'm kind of feeling my way around there. As a social media person, do you think, or I guess Clubhouse will be still considered social media, do you think it's important for, I guess, those of us that are quote unquote influencers to be a part of Clubhouse?
Okay, I'm gonna go on a small little rant here
Do
about
your thing, do
Clubhouse.
your thing.
Clubhouse to me is I'm done with it already.
But I am curious, for those of you that are watching, what are your thoughts on the many different social media platforms that have come and those that are still coming? Do you think there's too many? Do you think we need more? Do you think there's room for more? And I'm just curious what your thoughts are. if you want to chime in and let us know what your thoughts are so that we can share them with everyone. And if you all have any real estate questions, anything real estate related as it relates to what you got going on, things that you're doing, you know, questions for Marcus and what he's going to be sharing with us today, because he's going to be sharing some great information with us. So if you have any questions about project management, social media, working with the team, and those types of things, please, please, please feel free to share them with us. And also don't forget to click on the link so that we can see your comments. And wherever you're watching from, if you are not following us on social media, you should be following us on social media, or you could be following us on social media if you're watching. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at Real Life Real Estate Investing. You can join our free group at Real Life Real Estate Investing, as well as you can follow us on Instagram at Real Life Real Estate Investing. Not shamefully so. We are trying to increase our followers so that we can engage with you more on social media.
But anyway, sorry. I know we were talking about Clubhouse.
Yes, yes.
And so my whole thing is, like I said, I love the idea of the platform initially. Where I think the issues came in is, it's like invite based. So you can't just download the app and then automatically get on it. You either have to be invited, or you sign up for it. If somebody knows you, they can like let you in. And I think the initial group of people, because actually Clubhouse started back in April, I think was the initial beta launch of it. So from April until, let's say, like November, a lot of the people that were on there were, legit, they were talking about real stuff. Like I said, you had a lot of celebrities and big time influencers chiming in on it. But then slowly it's like they started letting all these other people in, and the content started getting a little more watered down. I was in a room the other day just listening, and for 20 minutes, the guy was just talking about how you can buy his real estate courses for $5,000. I mean, that's like literally all he talked about. I'm like, he in the headline on the thing was dropping gems. I'm like, no, we about to be dropping dollars for $5,000. I never even heard of you, dude. So it's I think that over the next, I would say 6 months is my prediction, that unfortunately Clubhouse is not really going to be a thing, because I think that so many people are coming into it now that don't have the same, motives that they originally had going into it. And it's all these people trying to like one up each other as well. I kind of don't understand that either. I'm just, so.
Yeah. I saw some posts on different social media where there was a guy, two guys. One says, "I've never made $1 million. I've never made $1 million. Let's start a group on how to make $1 million."
Basically, that's basically what you're doing right now.
So I don't know. Maybe people are creative in their ways of doing things. Maybe they created a group on how to make $1 million so they can learn how to make $1 million. I mean, I don't know.
That's true. It might be that reverse psychology. I don't know.
Exactly. It's interesting. It's interesting. Somebody has a question here. Okay, very good question. I think that's Jonathan. Jonathan has a question. Jonathan, stick around with us, and we will certainly get to that question. I want to make sure we get that question answered. But I want to get back into it. We're gonna wrap with social media for just a little bit. So there is. What do you think about TikTok?
I love TikTok. I mean, I think it's a great platform if you know how to use it correctly.
Okay.
I think the thing about TikTok, you definitely have to be dedicated, with like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. You can get on there, post once or twice a day, do 30 minutes, maybe, interacting with some people on there, and you're kind of done. That's it.
Okay.
TikTok, you actually got to make videos and edit it and, add graphics and all this. It's kind of a little bit more work
Man.
than some people are willing to do, me,
Yeah.
myself included.
Yeah. Me
So,
too.
um, but I mean, I've definitely seen for the people that do put that energy in, they get great responses. I actually follow a realtor on TikTok who does different like TikTok videos of all his open houses,
Mm,
and he kind of like splices it together from like one room to the next room, with music attached and all these like cool little graphics. And I love it. It's awesome. I'm sure he spends probably at least a couple hours a day doing that. But I mean, if he's getting leads from it and people are contacting him being like, oh, I love this house, I want to see it, or I like the work you're doing, how can I work with you? Then it pays off.
yeah. Yeah. I guess so. And that's the thing. Like, I don't. I've downloaded the app. I downloaded TikTok. TikTok. I did it before, and when they were talking about how all these other issues will happen, I got rid of it. But now I got it
Hmm.
again. And I open it. I'll be honest. I open it, and I'm just like, where do I begin? Where do I begin? And I've been like, that's always been like that with social media for me. And a lot of these times, like, I only got on social media in the beginning to monitor what my oldest son was doing. At the time, he was like 16 or 17. I'm like, oh, okay, let me see what he's doing.
Oh, that's funny.
As I got more and more into it, understanding how to use it, it made sense. So I guess with everything, TikTok and all these other things are learning curves. What do you think as it relates to social media with all the different platforms? Like, they all have their own, I guess, niche of what they offer. But for those of us that are running a business and use it for business, what would you say the number one and two platforms, or maybe top three platforms, would be for those of us that are running a business?
I mean, for me, I always tell all of my clients they have to have Instagram, they have to have Facebook. I mean,
Okay.
that's just a no-brainer. For one, both companies are linked together. So
Right.
that gives you an added value a lot of times across promotion, when you're doing ads and stuff through Facebook and Instagram.
Hmm.
And it kind of works kind of seamlessly together.
Right.
And obviously, they're both the biggest platform. We know that. So you have to have both of those, I think. Um, as far as some of the other platforms, it's kind of based on your business and kind of what you're doing. I think kind of deems what else may be important for you. I have some clients that are really into LinkedIn, and they
Hmm.
really like to use LinkedIn for more of what I call business to business connections,
Okay.
kind of connecting with other business owners or, other businesses to kind of see how they can help each other. I have some clients that like Twitter, and they like to tweet stuff out, kind of throughout the day. So, we kind of use that as a platform to kind of help grow their business. And then I have a couple clients that really like YouTube.
Mhm.
So they don't mind posting videos. It's not as intricate as using like a TikTok, where you're having to go in and do all these crazy edits and stuff. But it is a little more time, obviously, doing a video versus just a standard picture or even a short clip that you're uploading to Facebook or Instagram. So,
Okay. Okay. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so we won't have you spend the whole time talking about social media. I just want to give the folks that are watching that are interested in those things, that help them understand that is what you do and you are professional at it, and if that's something, that a service that they will need, that you can certainly help them out with that.
definitely.
So let's talk about some of the things that you do with United Real Estate Investment Group. So how do you? So tell us about what you do. So you're a project manager, or
Yes.
one of the project managers. What does a project manager do?
So project manager essentially kind of heads over the job, right under the contractor, essentially. So a
Okay.
lot of times you have your contractor who, I mean, at any given time, sometimes they have 10 or 15 projects running at a time,
Mm,
all over Metro Atlanta. So obviously they're not going to be on each job site day to day.
Got
Essentially, they're going to be there a lot of times for maybe the big stuff like demo. If you're doing a new construction, maybe concrete pouring, framing, you know, kind of maybe installing some of your mechanicals the first day. But that's really it. Your contractor's not going to be on your job site every day. So
got
a project manager is so important because that's going to be kind of your eyes on the streets. It's going to be your person that you rely on to kind of get the info back to you to let you know what's going on with the project each and every day.
got
So essentially, that's really what it is. It's kind of managing the project day in and day out, making sure everything's running smoothly, and kind of any hiccups and stuff happen, kind of just trying to head it off and fix it as fast as possible.
got it. So does the project manager do any of the work at all?
I've demoed some walls before with the hammer. That's about it. Uh, maybe put some light switches in, maybe a little paint touch up. When you're going through with your blue tape. But nothing really crazy. I mean, essentially, as a manager, I think it's good to know a little bit about everything.
Hmm.
So I do try to familiarize myself with a lot of the trades. Even though I may not be able to do it, I know kind of how it looks. You know how it is. After so many years, okay, this HVAC system look a little funky. I don't know what it is, but something's wrong. Or this electrical box looks weird,
Yeah,
or this plumbing, is this the right piping? So certain
right.
stuff like that I've kind of familiarized myself with, so I kind of know what to look for. But really, I think it's so important that the people you have around you on your team, that you trust them and that they're just doing the job correctly from the jump. So.
Got it. Okay, good stuff, good stuff. So what are some of the things that you have going on in as it relates to projects, and what are some of your goals for this year?
So right now we have about 7 projects going on. Seven. Four of them are new construction. One is a renovation, and two are investor clients. And when I say investor clients, essentially what we started doing last year is offering out our service to investors, new in season, that need kind of somebody on their team to do everything for you.
Hmm.
And since we kind of have everything in house, it really helps. Essentially, Nicole's husband, Michael Hunter, got his GC license about 4 months ago. So
Good
now
deal.
he's our in-house GC, so he's able to pull all of our permits, be on the job site for any major delays or anything at that and such. Okay.
Hmm.
Nicole got her real estate license to become an agent about a little over a year ago. So now we have an in-house agent. So it helps us when we're able to run comps. Obviously, if you need us to help you list the property, that comes in handy as well. And then on my end, obviously, like I said, I like to manage the project. And then obviously, I bring my marketing skills into it as well. Kind of helping a lot of times to get early buzz about the project. We've had some of our investor clients have had their projects go under contract pre finish, right
Right.
before construction's even done, because we got such a good buzz out there about it. So.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And you said you work with investors. So what is like a what's first of all, what are the things that you do for investors, and what would be who would be an ideal client as an investor to work with?
So essentially, like I said, we do management services for investors. We come in and essentially, if you need us to manage your project from start to finish, that's what we're doing. We're bringing in all our team. When I say our team, I mean all of our subs. So, our mechanical subs, our framing subs, our roofing subs, our landscaping guys. We're bringing in, mold remediation if needed. Everything we have. So essentially, it's good for a lot of investors who maybe don't have that database. because they're getting all of this at one time. They're getting this basically this whole team, really by just hiring two people.
Right. Exactly.
And as far as who we work with investor wise, it kind of ranges. We worked with a couple of new investors. We worked with an investor who done like 50 properties. So I think it all just kind of ranges on their needs. I love working with new investors a lot of times because they kind of don't have that preconceived notions going into it. And when
Yes.
we tell them something, they listen to us,
Yeah.
not because we're a super expert, but because we have knowledge and experience in this and we're telling you this based on that.
Absolutely.
Where a lot of times, sometimes seasoned investors will give you a little pushback, when you say, hey, this, HVAC unit, the two units is going to be, $7,000. Well, tell them we're only paying six. I'm like, doesn't work that way. I'm like, look, do you want it done right or do you want it done fast? Sometimes
Right.
that
Right.
too. Because we have multiple subs we use, and sometimes let's be honest, some do better work than others.
Yes.
And so I tell people all the time, I could probably call a sub that can do it fast. I don't know how good the work's gonna be,
Right.
but if you would rather spend a little more money and make sure it's done correctly, and we're
Hmm.
not having to go back and do change orders and do multiple fixes on it, then let's use this person. And
Right.
that's where I think a lot of times those newer investors kind of take that to heart a little bit more.
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is much simpler, working with people who don't. So, for example, I'll say, yeah, I can imagine an investor who's done 20 properties. Yeah, fix and flip 20 properties, and all they did was hire contractors, and now they're hiring a project manager, and the project manager is telling them the code for the electrical that you did before has been updated, and they're like,
Hmm.
no, it hasn't. It doesn't work like that. So now you got to deal with all of that. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Especially right now too, because building costs have gone up so much
Yes.
over the
Yeah.
last, I don't even know, I would say maybe 6 months, but maybe a little bit longer. Definitely
Right.
since COVID has started, building costs has went up. And it's funny because me and Nicole were laughing about it. We were looking at some doors from Home Depot maybe about 8 or 9 months ago for some future projects. Nothing particular that we had, but we were like, hey, we like these doors. Let's save them in our cart for later. And the
Yeah.
doors were roughly about $600, like front doors.
Okay. Hmm.
When we went back and looked at it in the cart about a month and a half ago, those same doors were $1,600.
Man, I was searching for doorknobs on Home Depot. I'm working on a project. We needed like 30 doorknobs, or no, I'm sorry, 15 doorknobs. And well, I was buying for two different projects, so we needed 15 doorknobs. And you're like one style. I'm like, yeah, I remember these. Some time ago, I can get them for like $9. Those things are like $16 now.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
And so we have to tell all our investors, going forward. I mean, we've probably done about over the last month, maybe about 10 consultations that,
Mhm.
hey, build cost is going up. So
Right.
we're only estimating what it's going to cost, but we put a 10% contingency in there for other costs too that might come up that we don't know about,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because like I said, it's ever changing right now.
Definitely. Definitely. Now you mentioned something about new construction and rehabs. What in your opinion, what is better? I guess I'll ask this question. What's better to work with, new construction or doing a rehab?
I think people that do just only rehabs will tell you they would never do new construction because that was
Mhm.
always my philosophy
Mhm.
because it's kind of the fear of the unknown.
Right. Mhm.
You're taking on something that you're not sure how it's going to turn out when if you've already got the bones there and you're just kind of working around it, it's a little bit easier, right? But
Right.
really, in all reality, new construction is so much better because
Yeah.
you're able to control the costs better,
Hmm.
And there's no hidden things that come up, you know. I'll
Yeah.
never forget where I was working on a rehab for Stacy Rossetti a couple years back, and we were demoing a wall, and literally as soon as we knocked down one wall, when I tell you the whole wall was like black mold behind it, we had
Hmm.
no idea. I mean,
Right.
that's what you get with the rehab. So now we have to call in a mold remediation company, figure out if we can even keep it, all this stuff going on. And I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of stuff you get with rehabs. It's unknown once you buy it. It's. I mean, we obviously do our due diligence, but your eyes can only see so much.
Right.
Like they always say, it's not till you get behind the wall sometimes do you really see what's going on for real.
Absolutely.
And so that that to me makes doing new construction a little bit better because you're building it from the ground up. You're able to at the end of it vouch for that product, and you can say, "Hey, I physically touched every part of this house, and I know exactly what's going on, and I can
Definitely.
tell you it's a sound house." And everything on it is on the up and up, and there's not going to be any issues
Hmm.
with doing a rehab. I mean, you can say that, but I would say it's more like 90% confidence versus 100, so.
Yes. 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 And what would you say about the permitting process for new construction versus rehab?
East Point, they're difficult, and that's where we focus at a lot. The last 6, 7 projects we've done have all been in East Point, and it's a headache, But I have friends that do stuff in Atlanta still, and do stuff in DeKalb and Cobb, and they've had some issues too getting some permits.
Now, is this for rehabs or for new construction?
No, for new construction.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you
Um,
still you have issues with East Point doing new construction? Really?
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
wow.
A
Okay.
lot of hoops you have to jump through
Okay.
when you're doing a new construction because these points are all about making the neighborhood kind of flow together.
Hmm.
And us, we like to throw up a modern house anywhere. So they're like,
Right.
hold on, you got these two little dilapidated houses in this mansion.
Right.
I don't know if that's gonna work. We have to convince them, like, look, I promise you, it's gonna
Yeah.
it's gonna work. We're gonna buy all the rest of these other dilapidated
Right.
houses. Um, so that's really the big thing. But I mean, I think just in general, obviously, when COVID hit, so many of these counties switched over from doing in person to doing virtual.
Yes,
Even back in the day, I don't know if you remember, you could get a rehab permit the same day.
I
You
remember.
could go down and do the express line, and 3 hours later, you like, all right, let's start. That's
Yes.
not the case
Yes.
anymore in Atlanta. I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks now
Right.
just to get a rehab permit because everything's done virtually now. So
So in Atlanta, I made a mistake, and a tree was cut down in my yard or in a
uh,
house project that I was doing.
mhm.
I made a mistake, and they built the deck over where the tree was. And we had to go through the arborist. They found out there was a tree there. I mean, I'm talking about that was about a 2.5 month process. I said,
Yeah.
never
City
again.
of Atlanta will actually pull out Google satellite photos on you.
They
They
did. That's
will,
what they
they
did.
will literally, they will be like, you bought this house in August.
Right.
Hey, there's a tree here. In September, ain't no tree.
It's like
What's going on?
I didn't know it was a tree there.
Well, you just gotta plead the fifth. Like, I don't know.
Right, right. So you said, you talked about East Point. So why do you do so much in East Point?
I like I said, for me, a lot of it, I was never really into East Point. I think
Mhm.
as an investor here in Atlanta, when I started out 4 years ago, the golden rule was don't go to East Point, don't go to College Park, because it's difficult. It's
Yeah.
difficult to sell, it's difficult to buy, it's difficult permitting, it's just difficult all around. And so that was kind of always my mindset.
Right.
And so I was just like, never East Point. Every time I ever saw an email or a deal or anything come through on it. But Nicole, I don't know if you know, she has a tax business that she started roughly about 11 years ago, with her office in downtown East Point. So she's
Right.
always loved the area. So I think for her, it was kind of natural when she got started in investing to be like, well, let me just look around here where I work. And back in the day, this is around 2014, properties were cheap over there. I mean, when I say we buy cheap now, I mean, back then, I mean, you could buy property for $8,000, $6,000.
Those
I
were the
mean, they were
days.
really, a lot of people don't know, back in 2009, the East Point zip code 30344 was the most foreclosed zip code when the whole crash happened. Okay. So one
Wow.
out of every three houses was a foreclosure.
Wow. I didn't realize
So it's so many. It was so many dilapidated houses, so many boarded up houses, so many overrun houses, so many houses that were torn down, fire damage. I mean, they had so much going on.
that.
So if you're able to buy property for that cheap and then be able to sell it for a decent profit, it's a win-win. And East Point, the city itself, has really tried to spend a lot of time building itself back up, as far as putting a lot of money into the community. They have a thing called the 50 worst property list. So what they actually do is if your property is not up to code, they give you so many months to kind of get it there. And if you don't do it, they tear your house down. And
Wow.
you have to pay the city back for it. Yeah.
Wow.
So we actually, it's funny. I'm sure I told you about this house. It's 1371 Lowell Avenue, and we have been trying to get in touch with the owner for 2 years.
Wow.
And basically, once we finally found them and tracked them down, we're like, look, you have this brick house next to our really nice house, and it's burnt up and it's garbage everywhere. And potential buyers were coming there, and they were kind of a little scared off because they're like, this house is gorgeous, but we're living next to this like burnt out house next door.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were like, what's your plan? Can we buy it from you? Do you want to hire us to help you, fix it up? Like, what's your end game? And he never said an answer or anything. So we finally contacted East Point. We were like, hey, this is the issue. And back in November, they tore it down.
Wow. Wow. Have you spoken to the seller again? To the
I
owner again?
have.
And what did he know it was being torn down?
He did.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But
So,
he still hasn't made a decision either way on what he wants to do.
well,
Um,
what decision would he have to make now?
I, I'll be honest with you. What I think his goal is and I laugh because this particular street that this house is on, about 2 years ago, when me and Nicole really started getting into business together, I drove down the street with her, and the whole street, Glenn, there was
hmm
about 18 houses on it. Every house was dilapidated, except
Wow.
one house that was done by Habitat for Humanity. Okay.
Wow.
And me and Nicole ended up doing two rehabs next door to door, next to each other. And slowly but surely, every house on this street got bought up. So now I think there's only two houses that aren't renovated.
Wow.
On top of it, we bought a lot, so we're doing a new construction right on the corner. We
Okay.
bought another house in a short sale, so we're gonna pop the top on that and do a 3-story.
Wow.
Um, and then there's another investor who's actually doing another new construction right next to ours. So it's like this one ugly brick house is the only thing holding this street back
Right.
from, reaching its potential, where 2 years ago the ARV over there was like, I don't know, 140, 150,
hmm
and now we're getting ready to sell once we're completed a $480,000 house. So.
Wow. Wow. Now, that's not the first one that you all sold another one over there recently, right?
Yes, on the street right over on Gus Thornhill.
Okay. 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 Yeah, I remember that house. I never got a chance to come and actually look at it, but I saw some really nice pictures of it. I think a couple times when you guys were doing the open house, I was out of town, so I didn't get a chance to see it.
Yeah,
But
it came out really nice, and we really liked that model. Which I don't want to say every house we're going to do is cookie cutter. Obviously, we want to mix it up, but we kind
mhm,
of want to keep that same feel.
yeah,
That kind of traditional modern style. It's a little bit southern, but definitely has like modern tones to it. And
mhm,
I think it works well because it can kind of work for an older person or a younger person. We
yeah,
had people who put in offers who were 22 all the way up to 62. So
wow,
it really is a range, yeah, of people that were interested in that house.
yeah,
So I was like, why, you know, pick something if it's not broke?
absolutely, absolutely. If you got that kind of people, like you're talking 22, and buying a house that's that first of all that expensive, and and the interest is there. I mean, because like you said, it has a modern feel to it, so it could work for something. It's just about anybody. Great
Yeah,
stuff.
the guy that actually ended up buying it came from New York.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember right at the height of Corona, this was back in what, like May.
okay.
New York was like a hot spot. And
Wow.
he was like, I gotta get out. So he
So
saw
he
the
bought
house
a house.
literally. He saw the house. I'm telling you the story. He saw the house with his realtor on Zoom camera. Like she walked
Wow.
around and showed him, and he submitted an offer that night. Sent his earnest money in and everything. And
Wow.
then he flew down to do an inspection. And he said, when I come back, I'm moving into the house. Like, that's it. Like, I hope y'all understand. And he came to closing with his sleeping bag because his furniture wasn't even there. And he was like, that's
He was serious, huh?
it. Yeah,
Hey, it's a beautiful thing. I guess they had the resources to be able to do stuff like that.
exactly.
I want to make sure before we go, we got Jonathan asked the question. He said, "Could you use a co contract to get my first deal done? Can I use a co-contract?" You
I'm
want?
guessing he's maybe talking about like a joint venture.
I think that may be what he's talking about.
Um, and obviously you can do joint ventures in multiple different ways.
Definitely.
Um, Essentially for me, what I think is the easiest is paying out a marketing fee or some type of fee to the other person
Hmm.
that usually doesn't have it under contract, but maybe have a potential buyer interested, and you kind of just forward it over. So essentially, we say, Glenn, you have a house under contract in Southwest Atlanta for, let's say $50,000,
Hmm.
and you're trying to find a buyer, and I have somebody who's interested. I would go to you and say, hey, I have a potential buyer. Can you, add 5K to it and just write me a check after closing
Right.
for the fee? And so we kind of joint ventured on it. And that works so much better than obviously, adding on a fee and not talking with the other wholesaler about it or the other investor, because then stuff gets lost in translation. And a
Yeah.
lot of times when I look in my emails and I see the same deal 4 or 5 times from 4 or 5 different companies, I don't even look at it anymore. It might have been a good deal.
Yeah.
It probably actually was at some point, maybe an okay deal.
Hmm.
But because so many hands are in the pot and I don't know who's who, I'm just kind of turned off by it because I'm like, what is it? I
Yeah.
see it here for 167. I see it here for 179. I see it here for 154. I see it here for 180. I'm like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
what's going on?
And it's amazing that we've been talking about stuff like that for years. It's amazing that people are still trying to pull that off. I guess maybe they're getting away with it. I don't know.
And I think having those conversations, and I know you're so good about that, is super important right now, especially because of COVID, because so many people have been wondering, how do I make more money or make money, period, now that I might be stuck at home and I lost my job, or I need
Yes.
another source of income because my partner's not working, you know? So people are looking to all these different streams of income. And one of them is obviously real estate. You know, a lot of people, you know, watch a couple YouTube videos, they read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and they're like, okay, I'm ready, you know, and
Yeah. Yeah.
they don't know all the right steps of how to do stuff.
Definitely.
Um,
Definitely. Yeah.
so a lot of it gets lost, and I don't blame it on, you know, them not wanting to care. It's kind of a little bit of an ignorance, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't say it's our job, but I do feel like it's somewhat our responsibility
Yes.
if we're in this game and these are people that we potentially may be working with in some fashion in the future, to inform them how to do it right, you know.
Yes. I agree. I agree. And because, something like that, Marcus, it actually becomes not only our responsibility, but it becomes almost necessary for us to be able to help people to get this business right, because it's the majority of those types of people that get into the business that don't have guidance that cause it to be hard for the rest of us. So it behooves us in a sense to say, hey, listen, come over here, let me help you out, so you don't burn down the house for everybody.
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know,
for real, because
so
that's the thing is, and it's funny because I was actually in a clubhouse group, back to that, and they were talking about the worst cities for wholesaling, and
mm,
everybody said Atlanta.
is the worst.
Literally, yeah, because they said it's so oversaturated, and
Yeah,
that you know it's so many bad deals coming out of here, and it kind of hurt to hear because obviously, you know, I mean, the real estate market here is doing great. We were
right.
actually one of only 5 states last year, 2020, where the real estate market went up and not down.
Yes.
You know, so to hear that people think so lowly of us because, like you said, and a bunch of apples, one or two bad ones, is
Yes.
making our name look bad, just kind of sucks. So.
Mhm. And the thing is, anybody has to understand about, the only reason why I think a lot of that's being said is that there's a lot of people in Atlanta doing it. Um, are they doing it right? That's the question, right? And because there's a lot of people doing it, the thing about the whole saturation thing is, who are you working with? Who are you collaborating with? A lot of times when you got a lot of people that are out here just, we'll call it cowboy, doing it on their own,
Hmm.
that's where, okay, I can see where you're looking at the possibility of saturation. But if you have people like you and I that understand that it makes sense for us to partner on 10 deals and close them right away than to struggle and try and do one on our own where we're going to make half the money, you see. So, for those of you out there in I want to do it all by myself and do it wrong world, uh, come over to the to the light side and let somebody help you. And that
Exactly.
let's collaborate as opposed to competing, where it only causes problems for everybody involved in the business.
And
So
not only that, too, I will say really quick, the fees that you charge on your wholesale deals, be realistic about them. You know, a
absolutely,
lot of times I've
absolutely,
been seeing, you know, wholesalers that just are putting outrageous fees on top of their deals. You
yeah.
know, and I had one wholesaler that came to me with this deal in East Point, and you know, I told him, hey, this is a bit high. Can you come down some? And when he came back to me, he came down $20,000. And I was like, oh wow, that's a you know a big jump. He said,
Mhm.
well, I left myself a lot of wiggle room just in case. So
Wow.
you are trying to make a lot of money on this one deal when the number didn't make any sense. You know, and that's the thing for me. I tell people all the time, I've done wholesale deals where I made $500. I've done wholesale deals where I made $10,000. You
Yeah.
know,
Yes.
it's all about if the numbers work for the deal. You know, I'm
Mhm.
never gonna stop anybody's hustle. If you can work a wholesale deal and make $30,000, kudos to you. As long as the numbers make sense for everybody. You know.
Yeah. And you're right. And I think it's a lot of time it comes from the and let me say this without shooting at anybody. It comes from the new age guru that
Yeah,
teaches
it does,
people
definitely.
that now. And I'll be honest, I learned when I first learned some 20 odd years ago. When I first learned the business, I learned that if you can't make $30,000 on a deal, it's not a good deal. Unfortunately, that was what was programmed in my head for a long time, and I wouldn't do any deal unless I made $30,000 on it. Now, I didn't have the, I guess, intelligence enough to force 30,000 into it. It just, if it wasn't there, I didn't make it, right? But I
Mhm.
believe now what's happening, there are some people that are hearing that old way of thinking and they're forcing that amount of money into these deals. And what's happening, unfortunately, is that you have the new investor that's coming on the scene that's buying these deals. Uh, Unbeknownst to them, the value is inflated ridiculously, and they're going to end up losing in the long run. So I think it's for those of us that are buying properties and fixing them up to sell or fixing them up to do whatever. It's more of us, I guess, that needs to get on the same page or at least in the same book. Of
Exactly.
in
And
the.
honestly, that's what I advise people that I consult with,
Mhm.
especially on the United Real Estate side. They come to us with a property. A lot of times I'll ask them, hey, what's your purchase price and what's your ARV cost?
Right, right.
We can figure out the budget, obviously,
Mhm.
but once we put all those three numbers together, I'm gonna tell you if this deal is gonna make sense for you or not to make money. I
Yeah,
like to tell investors if you're making really less than $20,000 on a renovation, it's
yeah,
not a good deal.
yeah, yeah.
That's not the amount of time and blood and sweat and sometimes tears you put into it.
Oh, it's
It's
tears.
not worth it. Yeah, it's always tears. Trust me. Sometimes it's not worth it. So you got to make sure the numbers make sense for you. Uh,
Definitely, definitely.
so yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that just making sure that those numbers make sense all around is super important.
Well, you have some investor teachers or investor or wholesaler teachers that teach their students that knowing the renovation cost is not important. They tell them things like, "Oh, you're not going to be the one that fixes it up anyway, so you don't have to suggest any renovation cost." My question then becomes, if the person that's wholesaling the deal to a person that's going to buy the deal and fix it up, and they're going to do it based on the numbers that are presented to them in many cases, or even after they do their due diligence, the numbers still have to make sense. How does the wholesaler that doesn't know the cost of renovations justify what fee they get if they don't know all the costs that are involved for the person that's buying the property?
And that's how you know the difference between somebody who takes it serious and is thinking about this as a career than somebody who's just kind of like a flash in the pan.
Right.
The people
Real
that
quick, type of person.
Yeah, I mean, the people who take it serious, they're gonna find ways to make sure that they're getting as much information to their client as possible. I
Uh,
call it spoon feeding.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't done any wholesale deals in like probably over a year, but when I was doing wholesaling hard, I mean, I would literally have a MailChimp a line item for you with everything. I mean, I had a breakdown of every cost. I had 5, 6 comps,
Yeah,
everything you needed. You could be able to look at this form and be able to immediately decide if this was a good deal or not.
definitely, definitely.
And I mean, for me, obviously, I had a little bit of a helping hand starting out. But for those investors that don't, feel free to hit up a contractor online and be like, hey, can I pay you $100, $150 to come out and give me a rough estimate on this property so I know
Mhm.
how much it costs?
Yeah,
And I tell people all the time, if you're a wholesaler and you do that 10 times, and when I say 10 times, like, you're walking the property with that contractor and they're kind of explaining to you as they go along why this costs this much and why this costs this much and why this costs this much. By the 10th time, you can be able to probably give a rough estimate yourself just based on what you've seen and known.
right.
Um, and yeah, you're spending money up front probably, but like we just said, time is money and
Yeah,
knowledge is money. So you're paying somebody for their time and their knowledge that you're looking to get. It's just like going to school essentially, you know. So
Right.
after those 10 times you spent, you know, $2,000 or $3,000 paying people to help give you estimates, that's going to be money well spent, because now you can give your investors so much more knowledge instead of pushing a deal for 3 or 4 weeks. You know, really in a week or so you're going to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you know, it's very important, man. So it's guys like us that have to make sure we push the issue of people being
Definitely,
educated
definitely.
on doing these things. So I guess did we answer? Yeah, we got his question. So that's what we were into. But what I want to ask you about is Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. Is the wind down happening this evening?
It's not happening tonight, Glenn. No,
Okay.
but it's definitely happening next week.
So let
Uh,
me ask you this: is it every Wednesday or is it?
we try
How?
to do it every Wednesday. I mean, I'll be honest. You know how crazy our lives can be, and
Oh yeah,
so you know, every now and then stuff comes up, and unfortunately, we can't do it. I remember one week we were literally like 30 minutes from, you know, getting on the air, and a pipe burst at a property, so had to like rush there. You know, just stuff happens.
yeah, yeah.
But we try to consistently do it every Wednesday.
Oh,
And we try to do it with you know, different guests on,
mhm.
just talking kind of like how we are now. We talk about real estate, we talk about life, politics. You know, we kind of leave no subject unturned,
Really?
um, because a lot of times it's good to kind of get those different opinions from people. You know,
Yes, yes.
um, and it's I think it's a good way for, you know, in this new world, to network. You know, we really, you know, we ain't going to networking events, so we can only Zoom and FaceTime and, you know, all of that stuff. So that it's kind of a
Yeah.
good way to kind of connect with other investors and other people in our field, and kind of get their take on different stuff. So
Great stuff. Great stuff.
I
Yeah,
don't, have you been on there yet?
I have. I have. Y'all didn't invite me back. I guess I must have did something wrong. I don't
Oh
know.
no, you coming back. See, look, you open your mouth. See, look, that's it.
See, I'm looking at the guests y'all having on, and I'm like, y'all got some ballers on. I guess I don't know, maybe you gotta show a bank statement to get on there or something. I don't know what.
No, you know, I think one of our favorite guests has been Robert. He's been on like 3 times,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
we love Robert because Robert's like us. He kind of just keeps it real, you know. He just kind of says it like it is. We like guests like that because it's just like sometimes you kind of need that, what my mom used to call tough love. You know,
Yeah,
you might
yeah.
not want to hear it, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. You know,
Right,
and
right. And real
um,
talk, Robert is that dude, man. He definitely he's one of those guys that when he's telling you about something, he leaves no stone unturned. Real stuff, real stuff. But listen, man, is there anything else you want to share with the folks before we jump off? I know we were supposed to have Nicole on, and Nicole wasn't able to make it today. We're definitely going to have to do it again to include her.
definitely.
But was there anything else you wanted to share with the folks before we got off today?
First off, just thank you for letting me be on the show as always. I love just kind of
Absolutely.
talking and chatting real estate with you. As far as 3M marketing goes, like I said at the beginning, I do free consultations. I don't know if you can see right behind me my number.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
feel
Make sure
free
you
to,
share that.
huh?
No, I was gonna say make sure you share that.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, feel free to either call me, text me, shoot me a DM, and me or somebody from my team will get back in touch with you, to see how we can help you with marketing services. You can also feel free to use that number as well if you're trying to contact us about project management services, for projects you have upcoming that you're looking to maybe hire somebody to do for you. You know.
Great.
You can obviously check out our social media pages to kind of see our experience. I kind of hate when people email me or text me now and they're like, well, tell me about your experience, or let me see your experience. I'm like, look, you just got to Google me, because I ain't got time to be, yeah, putting a list together. Go to United Real Estate investment page. Like, that's it.
I
When
guess
you see
I
all
guess
them
that's the thing.
houses, That's it. I can't go back and forth, but you can see all of our experiences, the houses that we did. I think we did 7 last year. Like I said, we have 7 in the works right now. Our goal is 15 this year.
Wow. Wow.
But we'll see how it turns out. So
So listen, hey, I am admitting that I was trying to do my best to retire from fix and flip. Don't tell Ramon I said the
you
word try.
told me this a couple of times now.
I know.
You not even uncounted when it looked at for you. You were like, "I'm done after this."
Listen,
Oh,
I'm still working on that house.
oh my god.
Tell you how much I've been trying to stay away from doing that work. But
Yeah.
this year I'm getting back into fixing, not flipping, but I'm getting back into buying and fixing. I've done some acquisitions in other places, and just to buy them for rentals and things like that. So I'm going to be doing some more in Atlanta. I was kind of weaning my way off of it, but I'm gonna go get back into it. I still got some room in my room to build my portfolio, so I'm gonna be buying and fixing, and I'm gonna be flipping a different way this year. So by all means, I am definitely considering having project managers in place because I love the business, but sometimes that fixing and flipping don't love me.
I
Because
feel
it's real life real estate investing. So but yeah, how do the folks connect with you via social media?
definitely.
And what can we
So Facebook and Instagram, and Twitter actually. You can find at 3M Marketing LLC. As far as for United Real Estate, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, you can find us at UREIGATL. And then you can feel free to find me on YouTube or LinkedIn at Marcus Merritt. And my email is Marcus at 3M Marketing LLC. Obviously, like I said, my phone number's behind me, so feel free to reach out. Um, and yeah, I'm all about, having a conversation if it potentially can help you or me move forward, in whatever your kind of journey is that you're on. So
Great stuff, great stuff, Marcus. You're one of the most humblest superheroes that I've ever heard of.
we didn't touch on though, Glenn, really quick. I just hired another person in my company to kind of help relieve some of my duties. So I really am trying to focus and get back into some of my, I guess you could say, affiliate stuff that I do. One
Good.
being Legal Shield, and then the other
Mhm.
one being Jabri Team Capital Partners, which is your company
Absolutely.
that does unsecured funding. So that's something that me and Nicole had a conversation about, that we would love to bring, some new investors that come to us, to you, and
Definitely.
essentially how can we help you if you are looking for funding and such. So we were
Absolutely.
saying we definitely want to do maybe another webinar in a couple months,
Yes.
and
Yes.
get that info out there so people don't forget about that.
Okay. So as I mentioned before, we are bringing back. I'm proud to announce that we're bringing back the Real Life Real Estate Investing event.
Okay.
It used to be a monthly event that we hosted once every month on the second Saturday of the month. We're bringing that back next month. In the month of February is going to be virtual. But actually, February and March is going to be virtual. Then in April we'll go to the in person as well as virtual in April. So in one of those times, let's certainly look at that being one of the topics that we share with folks in terms of how they can connect with you on doing some unsecured funding. I mean, it's a great thing to add to what you're already offering. It's all real estate related. If you're trying to get money to do real estate, Marcus and his team are the folks to ask. So
Yes, definitely, definitely.
definitely, definitely. All right. Well, listen, Marcus, thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for always being a person of integrity and doing the major, major things that you do. Like I said, you're one of the most humblest superheroes that I know. You're a humble dude, but I know you fly through the air at night saving people from from the different things that are going on. Thank you so much for doing what you do, sir. And we'll certainly be collaborating and doing some things, making some things happen this year as well.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you again for having me on. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope it was informative, and you got some knowledge from any of the conversations that we talked about today.
Definitely, definitely. If you need help with your marketing, reach out to Marcus, and project management, of course, reach out to Marcus, and unsecured funding. Reach out to Marcus, and we'll make sure the folks that are watching have your contact information so they can reach out to you for those services.
Perfect. Awesome.
Thank you all for watching. This has been the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, where we bring you real life real estate solutions. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you all real soon.